Did you know that over 250,000 murders in the US are still unsolved? Pretty chilling, right? But one case that's haunted the nation for decades is the Zodiac killer. And the question on everyone's mind is he still out there?
Well, it is one of the biggest mysteries in the country. Who is the Zodiac killer?
Tonight, a California killing spree that's captivated the world for decades. Now, a group of sleuths claims to have solved the case of the infamous Zodiac killer.
All the murders were committed by one person.
That doesn't make any sense.
The ballistics don't match. The fingerprints don't match. The witness descriptions and survivor descriptions of the killer don't match.
Imagine a world where a shadow lurks in the darkness, taunting law enforcement with cryptic letters and chilling ciphers, while the echoes of terrified victims linger in the air. This is not a scene from a horror movie. It's the terrifying reality of the Zodiac killer, a name that sends shivers down the spine of even the most hardened true crime enthusiasts. Today, we unravel the enigma behind Unsolved, the Zodiac killer mystery. Buckle up as we navigate through the fog of confusion, deception, and chilling details surrounding one of America's most infamous serial killers. Who was he? What secrets did he hide? And why does he still haunt our collective consciousness decades later? Our story begins in the late 1960s, in the heart of Northern California. A series of brutal murders began to shake the quiet towns surrounding the San Francisco Bay Area, leaving residents on edge and police scrambling for answers. The Zodiac killer emerged during this turbulent time, a figure cloaked in mystery who claimed responsibility for at least 5 confirmed murders. The first victims were high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, shot on December 20, 1968, in a remote area near Vallejo. Their deaths marked the beginning of a chilling spree that would grip the nation. As the killer's name suggests, he was not just a murderer. He was an artist of chaos, crafting a legacy that would leave a lasting imprint on American society. But the horror was only just beginning. On July 4, 1969, he would strike again, this time targeting Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau in Vallejo. This time, he would take a step further into his sadistic game. He approached their parked car, shot them both at point-blank range, and while Darlene died instantly, Michael miraculously survived. His detailed account of the attack would become crucial in the investigation that followed. The Zodiac killer's very existence seemed to be a reflection of the turbulent times. The late 1960s were filled with social upheaval, and this elusive figure seemed to embody the fear and uncertainty that gripped America. Law enforcement was left scrambling, unable to comprehend the full extent of the monster they were dealing with. In July 1969, the Zodiac killer took a dark turn in his campaign of terror. He sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle, signing it with a distinctive symbol, a circle with a crosshair. This would become his calling card, a symbol that struck fear into the hearts of many. Inside the letter, he included a cipher, a challenge for the public to decode. This cryptic puzzle was a sinister game that would entrap many in its web. The first cipher, the 408-symbol cipher, was cracked by a couple, Donald and Betty Harden, revealing a disturbing message. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." This revelation only fueled the fire of fear and fascination surrounding the Zodiac. His letters were written in 2 parts. The first part was usually written in plain text, while the other was in ciphertext, in which he claimed contained his identity. In the plain text part, he threatened newspapers to publish his letters or else he would kill more innocent people. As more letters poured in, each laced with taunts and grotesque details about his crimes.
Bit of, fantasy, about slaves and the afterlife and so forth. But the key to this translation, Brian, is really it comes into play if you actually figure out who the Zodiac is.
For the record, the FBI gives credit officially to these amateur sleuths and says the case remains an ongoing investigation.
The public became enthralled by the twisted intellect behind the words. The Zodiac was not just a killer, he was a puppeteer, pulling at the strings of fear in a desperate game of cat and mouse. In subsequent letters, he mocked the police and expressed his enjoyment of the media attention. One notable letter, sent in 1969, contained a threat to kill a busload of schoolchildren, further demonstrating his chilling lack of empathy. The public was both horrified and captivated. The media frenzy escalated as more letters were sent to various newspapers, each filled with sinister wordplay and cryptic messages. The Zodiac Killer's letters not only instilled fear, but also transformed him into a celebrity of sorts. People began to discuss the ciphers and letters as if they were a game, attempting to outsmart the killer. It was a dark irony that while he reveled in his notoriety, the terror he instilled was all too real. The Zodiac ciphers were not mere puzzles. They were a window into his twisted mind. The complexity of the codes added another layer to the mystery, inviting amateur sleuths from all over to try their hand at decoding his messages. Some of the most skilled codebreakers in the world were stumped, unable to make sense of the Zodiac's cryptic communications, which only added to his legend. Two of the Zodiac Killer's cryptograms have been solved, one in 1969 and another in 2020. Each deciphered message has given investigators additional insight into the psyche of the killer. The first was the 408-character cipher, cracked in just a few days. The second, a 340-character cipher, took decades before it was finally solved by a team of codebreakers in December 2020. The decoded message was less revealing about the killer's identity than the first, but it did affirm the Zodiac's delight in evading capture. These revelations sparked a renewed interest in the case, inspiring further investigation and analysis. The ciphers remained a crucial piece of evidence, raising more questions than answers about the man behind the mask. The confirmed victims of the Zodiac Killer tell a harrowing tale of violence and terror. While he claimed responsibility for many more murders, 5 victims are attributed to him with certainty. Later that year, on September 27th, the Zodiac ambushed Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard near Lake Berryessa. Disguised in a hood with the Zodiac symbol, he confronted them with a knife, binding them before brutally stabbing them. Hartnell survived and provided a chilling eyewitness account, further embedding the killer's image into the public psyche. The Zodiac's last confirmed murder was that of cab driver Paul Stein on October 11, 1969, in San Francisco. This murder, occurring in the heart of the city, showcased the killer's escalating boldness and chilling disregard for human life. Each murder left behind not just a body but an indelible mark of terror. Beyond these 5 victims, the Zodiac Killer is suspected of having taken more lives. Some believe he may have been responsible for additional murders that occurred in Northern California during the late 1960s. Investigators have examined several unsolved cases from that period, hoping to uncover links that could provide answers. However, despite extensive efforts, the true number of victims remains shrouded in uncertainty. The haunting nature of these crimes continues to resonate today, reminding us of the fragility of life and the lurking dangers that can exist in even the most peaceful of places. Many families still mourn their loved ones, and the sense of closure remains elusive, creating a ripple effect of grief that endures through generations. The question that haunts investigators and amateur sleuths alike is, who was the Zodiac Killer? Over the decades, countless theories and suspects have emerged, each one adding to the complexity of this already perplexing case. One of the most famous suspects is Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester who died in 1992. His name became synonymous with the Zodiac case due to circumstantial evidence, including a Zodiac symbol watch found in his possession. Despite this, extensive investigations and DNA testing have failed to conclusively link him to the murders. Another suspect is Gary Francis Post, whose name resurfaced in recent years after a team of cold case investigators claimed he was the Zodiac. Post had a history of violent crime and was already serving a life sentence for other murders. However, just like with Allen, the evidence remains circumstantial, and many remain skeptical of these claims. In 2021, the Case Breakers team claimed to have solved the identity of the Zodiac Killer,
Enforcement agencies are denying an independent group's claim that they have identified the Zodiac killer.
Based on evidence including pictures from the suspect's former darkroom, a name in an anagram published in a newspaper, and the suspect believed to have died in 2018. However, the San Francisco Police Department and the FBI have not commented on the claim, stating that the investigation is still open. Some investigators have suggested that the Zodiac may have been involved in other notorious murder cases, prompting researchers to dig deeper into the backgrounds of potential suspects. Over the years, theories have proliferated about various individuals, each with